Welcome to SpaceX. Today I'm going to share two special watches with you. The official retail price of the cash skin egg circle, Greenwich the 2 generation, 11267-on-3 is $143,000. In this video, this one is the official original version. The other two watches we are temporarily naming version A and version C. At first glance, it's really hard to tell them apart. What are the differences in the details? Let's find out. First, let's feel the overall quality of this watch. Many enthusiasts are most concerned about the color transition of the two-tone ceramic bezel. However, if you only look at this aspect, it's really hard to distinguish its authenticity. The triangular hour marker at the 12 o'clock position is also filled in very well. The font size of the calendar is so large that it is hard to tell the difference. The texture of the printed details on the dial is almost as good as that of the second hand, but the polishing of the edge of the pointer is still a bit lacking. A little bit of burrs can still be seen. In terms of the hands, version A is slender and delicate, just like the original version, while version C is a bit thicker. As for the crown opening on the head, version A is slightly larger, with a big dot that is 1.3 times the size of the original dot, while both version A and version C are a bit smaller. What about the brushed effect of the bead ring? The C plate is relatively coarse, while the A plate is relatively fine. The rounded corners and gaps of the safety buckle are also very well polished and difficult to distinguish. As for the metal edge of the crown, the C version is wider, and the 5 dots on the crown are relatively closer to the A version in terms of fullness. In terms of the color of precious metals, the C version is relatively brighter and lighter, and there is a relatively obvious difference from the original version. The specifications and sizes of the strap sections of the A72 version are consistent with the original version, and the sides of the straps are covered with gold plating. Unlike some other versions on the market, there will be no cylinder leakage problem. In terms of the engraving details of the clasp, version A clearly has traces of black metal left after CNC engraving, and the overall Rolex pattern is relatively thick. However, both versions A and C have their anti-counterfeiting features properly presented. The chamfering, polishing and brushing process of the case on version A is relatively more obvious and more delicate. As for the engravings on the strap connection, version C has double-line engravings that are generally coarser, but indeed, the official version also has this kind of craftsmanship. The side engravings on the strap show a more noticeable difference in version C, especially in the brushed texture of the precious metals in both versions A and C. Still, they haven't reached the standard. Next, let's move on to the relatively core internal structure. Version A uses the Shanghai 32851 movement, while version C uses the Dandong 32851 movement. Both movements can achieve around 70 hours of power reserve, close to the official standard, but there are still noticeable flaws in the overall detail quality that can be spotted, such as the size of the automatic rotor's axis and the crown logo, which both differ from the original version. The brushed craftsmanship on the fuselage deck is also far from the original in terms of its fineness. The size and polishing of the screws, as well as the texture of the ruby and gold sets, are all visible differences. The movement must have the texture of the blue hairspring and the structure of the card paddles. The basic differences are more obvious. The 4-way weights on the deck wheel are not available on either version. The wire drawing process inside the back cover shows the original craftsmanship, which is not something that can be easily erased by ordinary craftsmanship. However, the anti-counterfeiting point inside the oval logo is noticed in both AC versions. Now, here's the key point. differenceOverall. For precious metal watches, the concern is always about the weight. You don't want it to feel too light. Version A achieves the same weight effect as the original, while version C falls a bit short in comparison. The material and craftsmanship used in the blackboard are difficult to find problems with the naked eye. The ice blue luminous of Oris is a refreshing feeling pursued by many players, and both AC versions also present a high standard. It's hard to tell them apart. Overall, both versions A and C have their own strengths, but after all, a Rolex is a Rolex. You get what you pay for, and that truth remains unchanged. Follow SpaceX for more professional watch interpretations to help you choose a watch you like and provide more detailed advice. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'm always here to help.